This is Glacier Country, tucked away in the keys of northwestern Montana and southern Alberta. Two parks really, combining to form one. On the United States side, it's called Glacier National Park, and on the Canadian side, Waterton Lakes National Park. Here the ages have been hard at work, carving away the peaks and valleys, creating vistas that truly dazzle the eye. During the first part of our video trip here, we'll take a look at how glaciers created this natural paradise and find out a bit about the park's history. We'll visit some of its more spectacular sites. Then, we'll give you tips and information to help make your trip to Glacier and more fun. Things like what kind of accommodations are available in the area, recreational activities, wildlife, how to get there, how to get around, what to expect from the weather, and plenty more. So let's get going and visit this crown jewel of America's parks. Glacier National Park, all 1 million plus acres of it, is located in the northwestern corner of Montana, right up against the Canadian border. And just on the other side of the line, in southern Alberta, is the 130,000-acre Waterton Lakes National Park. What we see in the park today had its origins about 1 million years ago, at the beginning of the Ice Age. As the climate cooled, snow continued to pile up, forming large, massive glaciers. It was these giant natural bulldozers that carved out the rock faces on the mountainsides, gouged out the U-shaped valleys, polished the rock on the valley floor, and scooped out some of the valley floors to form deep, clear lakes. More than 60 active glaciers can be found in the park today, some that still move up to 30 feet a year. Although they are much smaller than their Ice Age cousins, it is the meltwater off these shrinking glaciers that give many of the lakes and streams in the park their vibrant blue and greenish colors. The preservation movement of the 19th century led to the establishment of Waterton Lakes National Park in 1895, and then the addition of Glacier National Park to America's Young Park System in 1910, under the leadership of its first superintendent, William Logan. The parks were united in 1932 as the Waterton Glacier International Peace Park to symbolize the friendship between the United States and Canada.
In the early days of Glacier, it was an isolated park. It was difficult to get to. The Great Northern Railway, which is now the Burlington Northern here in Montana, was one of the first initiators of tourist travel here in the area. Their railroad provided a corridor for visitors to come from both the east and west coast. And the Great Northern Railway was responsible for really opening up the park. They constructed a series of hotels and chalets throughout the park. They got the visitors here, and not long after the first construction of the high mountain chalets, visitors started coming to Glacier. Now in the early days of Glacier, to visit the park, you of course didn't come in automobile. You came on the train, you got off in a town like West Glacier, which at that time was called Belton. You'd get on a buckboard, a tally-ho, horse-drawn wagon, come up to the foot of Lake McDonald. Here you'd get onto a coal-fired boat. You would then stay your first night in the park at the Lake McDonald Lodge. At that time it was called the Lewis Hotel. The next day you'd get on horses and then ride throughout the park. At one time there were over 1,000 head of horses traveling the backcountry of Glacier National Park.
Hands down, the Going to the Sun Highway has got to be a triumph of highway engineering as well as the human spirit. Nearly 2/3 of the road was chiseled by hand, mind you, out of solid rock. Thousands of men worked on it from 1925 to 1933. Miraculously, only 3 men died while working on it. Planning and building this 52-mile road to the sun took nearly 2 decades and cost $3 million. Today, Glacier National Park has 230 miles of primary roads and 70 miles of secondary roads, and more than 700 miles of trails. About 2 million people visit the park each year. You'll find scads of wildlife in the park, so bring along your camera and binoculars. Take your time in the region and
and just enjoy what nature has to offer. And then, there's a whole bunch of smaller animals you'll bump into during your visit. Remember though, we're visitors here, so stay on the trails. Don't feed any animals, even the ones that beg, and don't pick the wildflowers. Just enjoy the sights. Most of the region is a pristine wilderness area just teeming with scenery and wildlife. Much to the surprise of many visitors, a diverse range of climates, plants, and animals are found in Glacier. It all has something to do with the changes in elevation inside the park from the mountain peaks to the deep glacial valley floors. The high mountains that cut the park down the middle capture rainfall on the western side, creating a climate almost like the cool, wet Pacific Northwest. In fact, a lot of people who come from that part of the country comment on the similarity. These moist weather conditions produce dense, lush rainforests that almost swallow you up as you hike through them.
You'll find redwoods and hemlock forests in the McDonald Creek Valley. Up in the high mountain regions, you'll find classic alpine climate zones. Clean, chilled air make it hard for all but the toughest of plants and animals to live there. The alpine regions of the park explode with some of the best displays of mountain wildflowers in North America. The eastern side of the mountains are like our traditional picture of the Rocky Mountain. The first thing you'll notice is the drier air because there's less rainfall on the eastern side of the park. More rolling hills with grassy prairies and meadows, quite often visited by hungry elk and deer, and bighorn sheep like to eat the grass. These different climate zones provide ideal conditions for abundant wildlife you'll see here on your visit.
Most of our major wildlife species that occurred back when this area was first viewed by European explorers are still here. The only exceptions would be bison on the east front that at one time roamed into the valleys, Glacier National Park. They no longer occur naturally there in that part of the country. Glacier is home to a variety of animals, including Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep, mountain goats, grizzly bears, black bears, both whitetail and mule, elk, moose. A variety of different habitats exist here in the park that support these different species of wildlife.
Let's take a quick tour of the park and point out a few incredible sights and just plain orient you to Glacier. We'll cover 5 general routes within the park, all accessible by car. Then from each of these routes, hikers and backers can, if so inclined, connect with the park's vast network of trails. Let's start the most popular route, the Going to the Sun Highway. This road cuts east to west across the middle of the park. At the West Glacier entrance to the park, you'll find the park headquarters and APCAR on the southwest end of Lake McDonald. Here you'll find, among other things, a park center, campgrounds, groceries, boat rentals, snack bar, and coffee shop. A great area for your stay in Glacier. There's plenty for the kids to do, like catching a few trout on Lake McDonald. Now, as you head east from APCAR, the roads take you along the scenic shore of Lake McDonald, the largest of the 650 lakes in this park. You things on here that will stay fresh in your memory forever. At the end of the Lake McDonald Lodge is a popular stopping-off place for a rest, a meal, or even an overnight stay. The McDonald Creek Valley, north of the lake, is one of the better places to catch a glimpse of this wildlife. There are several turnouts along this road in the McDonald Creek Valley. Make sure to stop a few times along the way for wildlife watching. And something very special, the water. Yep, this water, I guarantee, is the cleanest water you'll ever see. There's something about the fact that it comes from melting glaciers and washes through these rock beds that cleans it up real nice. But just look at it. As you continue along this road, you'll run into another favorite spot, the Trail of the Cedars. Now this trail takes you through a massive hemlock forest to Avalanche Lake. Definitely take a few hours to stop here. Walk this gently sloping trail along Avalanche. Here, you can look back into the past and see how the tumbling glaciers of the creek polished and carved the stone. and enjoys beneath the cool canopy of the dense rainforest. It's just a great walk to experience the tumbling magnificence of Avalanche Creek and its glacier-clear waters. The road takes you to the summit of Logan Pass, named for the park's first superintendent. This also is where the Going to the Sun Highway was dedicated more than a half-century ago. On the pass, you'll find refreshments, gifts, and information at the visitor here on Logan Pass, elevation 6,664 feet. Now, as you head down the eastern slope of the pass, keep an eye out for the snow-white Rocky Mountain goat, the symbol of Glacier National Park. These critters actually aren't at all, but cousins to the antelope. They spend summer and winter in the high country. Their offspring, called kids, are really cute little guys, and just watch them. The road then descends past the northern shore of the jewel of the park, St. Mary's Lake, in a spectacular setting at the base of several peaks. One of the best ways to see this area is a boat cruise on the lake. As you continue, the road pours out at St. Mary's eastern edge of the park. Great food, camping, a park visitor, and some limited services await you, including the best huckleberry food dishes in the world at the Mary's Lodge, one of the finest dining spots in the area. A tip though, these huckleberries are all over the park, but only for the animals. You can't pick them yourself. Driving 9 miles north of St. Mary on Route 89 takes you to Babb, Montana. If you turn west and take the road back into the park to the Mini region, you'll catch sight of the Mini Glacier Lodge, the largest lodge in the park, and some of the most incredible views in the park. The area has dining, grocery, fuel, boat launching, and other services available, including scenic cruises on Swift Current Lake. While you're in the northern part of the park, don't miss the opportunity to drive into Canada and spend some time in Waterton Lake Park. The Prince of Wales Hotel and its European styling is a favorite stop point for a meal, shopping, lodging, or just to take in the view of Upper Waterton Lake. The Waterton town site is a great little resort community nestled in the midst of business. From a distance, it looks like a European village. The town has shops, rest motels, and all sorts of activities for the family. While you're there, make sure to sign up for one of the terrific cruises of Upper Waterton Lake. The cruise boats run on the hour during the... If you want to really explore this park, plan to spend at least a day here. Get the most out of it. In the southeastern part of the park, you'll find all sorts of services and activities at East Glacier Park, including gas stations, groceries, restaurants, hotels, horse rentals, a post office, a railroad station, and a 9-hole golf course. Several miles north of the East Glacier Park entrance, a paved road takes you to Two Medicine, a scenic little spot where you can camp, picnic, take a boat cruise, rent boats, or enjoy an evening campfire ring. Over on the west side of the park, north of the West Glacier Apgar entrance area, you'll find some quiet, rustic getaways. The road up the North Fork of the Flathead River takes you to Pole Bridge, where you can get some good food as well as supplies. And make sure you buy the Pole Bridge General Store for supplies, a little gabbing to pass the time, tips on fishing hotspots, and you'll also find the Northern Lights Saloon, a real backcountry that makes you feel as though you're deep in the interior of it. The road also takes you to Bowman and Kintla Lakes, excellent fishing and camping areas, and hiking trails to other remote lakes. This part of the park isn't visited by many people. There's gold medal fly fishing, unforgettable rafting experiences, and excellent wildlife viewing. Well, that's a quick run around the park. Now, to show you some of the fun activities you can find in Glacier Country. When you first arrive at Waterton Lakes, we suggest that you check in at the nearest visitor center for information on what to do and see and current events or special programs. The Glacier Visitor Centers are located along the Going to the Sun Road, Apgar on the west side, Pass in the center of the park, and St. Mary on the east side. The Waterton Lakes Visitor Center is located just north of the Waterton town site.
pick up a copy of the Waterton Glacier Guide for a complete listing of services and programs. One of these can be sent to you mail as well. Depending on your travel plans, you should expect to stay as little as a single day or as long as a week. But to really get a feel for the parks, try to spend at least 3 days here. If you're going to just breeze on through, then definitely plan to drive or ride a tour coach over the Going to the Sun Highway. Stop along the way at Logan Pass and at other overlooks. Take a picnic lunch somewhere along the way. You'll never forget. If you want to spend 2 or 3 days, plan to stay in one of the magnificent lodges in Glacier or Waterton Lakes and take at least one boat cruise. Again, tour the Sun Highway and squeeze in a visit to Waterton Townsite. If you're going to stay longer, cab becomes your most economical way to stay. But if money's no object, stay in one of the lodges for entire visit. Cabin all in between, price-wise. Visitors can take one of several self-guided hikes or auto tours that tell you the story behind the scenes. We've already mentioned the Trail of Cedars. On the other self-guided hikes, which range from half mile to 2 1/2 miles, you'll find out about forest fires and their impact, the balance of nature in the park, Holland beavers, and alpine ecosystem. There's even a 10-mile self-guided auto tour of Camas Creek that has roadside exhibits on the way to explain what is happening in the forests. And oh my, if you're a hiking or backpacking enthusiast, well sir, this is one of the best spots around.
Hiking is a very popular pastime here in Glacier. We have over 730 miles in trails, and literally thousands of people on those trails every year, and very, very few bear encounters or accidents ever take place, and that's because of the consciousness of those hikers out there in wild country. Glacier Park is home to a variety of wildlife, and I'd like to stress that all wild animals can be dangerous, so you do want to keep your distance and do any wildlife viewing that you might from your vehicle or from a distance. A special note of caution is due because we have both grizzly black bears here in the park. We advise people that hike throughout the park to take special precautions, make sure they clean camps, make some noise while they're hiking, let the animals know that you're coming.
Now in the old days, the only way to really see the park from the back of a mighty steed. Well, you can still ride through the park on horseback. Just check Glacier Park Outfitters at any of their 3 locations in the park: Many Glacier Corral, Lake McDonald Corral, and Apgar Corral. They offer 1, 2, and 3-hour rides, and even day-long rides to secluded fishing spots, mountain chalets like Sperry Inlet. We'll tell you a little more about the chalets later. Prices are moderate for riding, but for an entire family, they could get a little pricey. One thing for sure, if you're planning to go on one of these high country trail rides, you should at least have some riding experience. And if you're easy about heights, you might want to pass this activity since some of the trails barely cling to the steep mountainsides. Most of the park trails are open to horse, mules, donkeys, and even llamas. Plan to bring in your own livestock. But some trails are closed to pack animal traffic, and overnight camping is permitted only in certain areas. Just check with a visitor center or ranger for a listing of the restricted areas. Because this is such a popular to see the park, trails are crowded from the 1st of July through mid-August, and your chance to get a backcountry permit for your pack animals is to plan your trip after the midsummer rush. Here's a bit of important information. If you plan to cross the border on horseback, you'll need special health permits, so contact federal health officials well ahead of time to make the necessary arrangements. Glacier National Park offers an exceptional backcountry lodging opportunity in its 2 remote mountain chalets, Sperry Chalet and Granite Park Chalet. The only way to get to these hotels is on foot or horseback. Night room costs double, considering they include 3 meals, but you'll need reservations, usually a year in advance since space is limited. No reservations are needed to stop at either chalet for a meal, however. Built in stone in 1914 by Jim and Louis Hill of the Northern Railway, the chalets are on the National Register of Historic Places. There are telephones or electricity. Hot water is available, but there are no baths in these rustic digs. Only the kitchens and the outside restrooms are modern.
Here's who to contact for residents. Bicycling is a great way to experience, but some of the roads are very challenging. And with the increased use of the heavier-duty mountain bikes, more of the park's roads are open to bicyclists than ever before. Bicycling is permitted on all of the park's roads, paved and unpaved. However, bicycles are not allowed on any of the park's trails, with one exception. There is one trail between the Apgar Visitor Center and the park's housing area near West Glacier entrance. Also, special limitations apply to the steep and narrow Going to the Sun Road. Sections along Lake McDonald and on the west side of Logan Pass are closed to bicycle traffic during peak summer travel periods each day from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. mid-June through Labor Day. So plan your bicycling trip around those times. Now, if you're planning to ride across the park on your two-wheeler, try traveling from east to west. The climb up Logan Pass is a little bit easier. There are about a dozen campsites, Sprague Creek Campground, that are held each day until 7 p.m. just for you bicycle. And there's a small night camping fee. And oh yes, you can rent bicycles at the Village Inn in Apgar Village near the west entrance to the park. And pick up your bicycling regulations at a visitor center or ranger station. There are some rural roads you need to follow in the park. And what better way to enjoy the outdoors and the majestic beauty found in Glacier to camp, to re-spend your time in nature. It's a great family adventure and just a terrific way to experience the park. Glacier offers quite a range of camping styles for visitors. Regardless of your camping preferences, none of the park campsites can be reserved. Get there plenty early, before noon or earlier, to assure yourself a space. You're limited to 7 days in Glacier and 14 days in Waterton, and you'll be charged modest nightly fees to use the campsites. Now, not all can want to drive to their campsites. To some, getting there on foot or horseback is more of an adventure. So for you primitive types, both Glacier and Waterton provide awesome backcountry campsites on the shores of high country lakes and other areas in this incredible wilderness. But in return for this privacy, you must carry in everything you plan to use and carry out all of your trash. Backcountry camping is free. You have to get a free permit at any ranger station or visitor center. The permit lets you camp in the backcountry for 6 nights. However, you'll have to switch locations because you can only get each campsite for 3 nights. So, just keep moving. About the campgrounds, write Glacier National Park or Waterton Lakes National Park. And an even better information is the Montana Travel Planner from the Montana Promotion Division of State Government. Write for your free copy at this address. Boats are a popular sport in the park, especially because of the spectacular scenic backdrops. Non-power boats are allowed on any of the park waters. You'll have to carry your boat into areas, but there's quite a bit of trail access to all of the lakes. And there's plenty of power boats in the park as well. Motorboats are permitted on many of the larger lakes, which have access roads and launching ramps. Some restrictions, so pick up a copy of the park's own regulations at any visitor center or marina facility. And remember, Glacier is more than just a name. That water cold. If you don't have a boat, you'll find great boat excursions on several lakes in the park, and they'll all give you views of the park and its glaciers that just can't be seen from many roads or trails. Some cruises are combined with hikes to primitive forests, rugged cliffs, waterfalls, or great fishing spots. Cruise boats regularly ply the waters of 5 lakes in Glacier National Park and Upper Waterton Lake in Waterton Lakes National Park. Most of the cruises are from 45 minutes to an hour and a half long. Try one of the fabulous sunset cruises for spectacular scenery at the end of the day. Cruises operate throughout the day and are priced fairly low. Water taxis for service to various trailheads and other destinations on Waterton Lake are also available. Here's how to get reservations or information on the boat excursions. If the cold water doesn't bother you, try water skiing. Just don't fall in without your wetsuit. Water skiing is allowed only on Lake Mc and St. Mary Lakes, sunrise-sunset. The Flathead River is wild country around it, and for a rafting enthusiast, you couldn't have picked a better place for a wilderness getaway. The North Fork and the Middle Fork of the Flathead River form the western boundary to it. Needless to say, the Flathead River system is popular for a leisurely sea float trip, an exciting tumble through whitewater, or some serious angle for trout. The rafting companies, guides, and outfitters are listed in the Montana Travel Planner. You know, these glacier-fed lakes and streams are just loaded with hungry fish, so if you like to wet a line like I do, be sure you bring along your tackle. Now, inside the park, all you need is a free permit from the Park Service to fish, one at any park visitor center. If you plan to fish the Midland Forks of the Flathead River, you need to get yourself a Montana state fish license at various stores inside and outside the park. Waterton Lakes National Park obviously is regulated by Canada, so the fishing rules are a little bit different. Both 7-day annual permits are available at reasonable fees. Lower to Medicine Lake is regulated by the Blackfeet Indian Reservation. The tribe issues its own fishing license. They're modestly priced and available at many stores in the region. A state license is not required to fish in tribal waters. For more information, contact the park or tribal office. There are even 3 public golf courses available to die-hard golfers. One north of the Waterton town site inside the Canadian Park, and outside the park at East Glacier and West Glacier. Glacier shows another side to visitors who come here in the winter, a side that clearly states who's in control: Mother Nature. Portions of the park are open to cross-country skiing and snowshoeing. A short guide to cross-country skiing trails available from the park. A few of the park's perimeter roads are open to snowmobiling. Snowmobiling is not permitted inside the park without first registering with park officials. Other ski snowmobiling facilities are available along the perimeter of the park in the Flathead and Clark National Forests and in the town of Essex. The Apgar Visitor Center remains open on weekends throughout the winter, and the St. Mary Campground is open to camping in the winter. The ranger station at St. Mary is not staffed regularly after midnight. In the United States, you can drive to Glacier Country on US 2 and East-West Highway, and US 89, which approaches the park from the southeast. In Canada, you drive to the park from the north or northeast on Alberta Highway 5, 6, and 2. United Express provides service to Glacier International Airport from its service hub in Spokane, Washington. Other airline service available to several regional airports. Check your train or the airlines for schedule information. Several carriers provide transcontinental buses from several locations on both sides of the border, in Great Falls and Kalispell, Montana, and Pincher Creek, Alberta. Local bus service available during the summer season between these transcontinental points at Glacier or Waterton. It was the railroad that built many of the facilities in these parks and then promoted them to the country. Well, sir, you can still take a train to Glacier, but now it's called Amtrak, and it's still fun. Amtrak provides daily service at Glacier National Park from Seattle to the west and Chicago and Minneapolis to the east. During the summer, the train stops at East Glacier Park. During the winter, it stops at West Glacier Park. From the train station, you can catch a tour coach or a car to get to park facilities. Most people visit the parks by car, and in the summer season, the roads are crowded, especially the popular Going to the Sun Road. Take your time and enjoy the sights. Watch out for sudden stops and keep an eye for bicyclists and hikers. Because the Going to the Sun Highway is only 16 feet wide, Some size limitations have been imposed on vehicles using it. During July and August, vehicles must be 8 feet or less wide and no more than 30 feet long, and that includes a trailer. Other times, the width stays at 8 feet, but the maximum length is 38 feet. If your vehicle happens to exceed these limits, you can make arrangements with park rangers to temporarily park your vehicle or trailer while you tour the park. Since Waterton National Park is in Canada, you'll be crossing an international border and will have to pass through customs. Stations are open extended evening hours during the summer season, some places as late as midnight. It usually takes a few minutes to pass through customs, but you'll need to have identification for everyone in your party. A valid driver's license is fine for adults, and the kids need their birth certificate. And make sure you have valid registration for your car or recreation vehicle. There are restrictions on firearms, alcohol, cigarettes, fruits, vegetables, and plants, so check with Glacier National Park officials before heading up to Canada to find out details. You'll need the latest valid rabies certificate for your dog or cat if they come along. The tag is enough. Bring the paperwork. The tour coaches provide regular transportation between the Amtrak stations and the various lodges and visitor centers. Schedules are available through the park. Rental cars are available at all regional airports, several other towns in the region. Here's a list. The park offers 4 magnificent lodges with incredible views. The rooms in the lodges are fully priced. Charges for additional people are low, so families can find reasonably accommodations. More expensive suites and family quarters are also available. Here's what you'll find in the park. The imposing Glacier Park at the foot of Squaw near East Glacier. Huge Douglas fir timber set the main lobby of this lodge, which is kings, princes, presidents, and diplomats. Built originally as a private lodge, the Lake McDonald Lodge gives you a bit of the Old West, all the way down to the pictogram on the wall by famed Montana cowboy artist Charles Russell. More of a Swiss atmosphere is found at the park's latest resort, the Mini Glacier Lodge on Swift Current Lake on the east side of the park. Majestic is the only way to describe the old Principal's Hotel on the north shore of Waterton Lake, where visitors gaze out across the lake or partake in English tea served each afternoon. 3 smaller rooms provide less elegant but still charming and reasonably priced accommodations inside the park. The Rising Sun Motor Inn, the Swift Current Motor Inn, and the Inn. Reservations at any of these lodges can be made through your travel agent or by contacting full reservations at these addresses and phone numbers. Other accommodations listed by city, Montana Travel Planner, except Waterton Townsite, which has half a dozen motels, lodges, or ranches. When visiting Glacier or Waterton, be prepared for a range of weather. Even a bright sunny day can change to cold and rain in the blink of an eye. Summer days can get into the 80s and 90s. Even on hot days, the summer nights are cool, sometimes even dropping below freezing. Dress comfy for riding in the car and casual for lodges and restaurants. And if you plan to take a hike of any length, take along warm clothing and rain gear. Sudden rain or snow showers could hit at any time. If you plan to hike, make sure you have comfortable, good shoes or boots to avoid blisters feet. If you plan a backcountry trip, obtain a backcountry permit. Discuss your plans with a ranger. Follow the 3 more basics about backcountry treks. Hike at least one other person. Always register the trail before assaulting the trail. And learn how to store your food in bear country. A lot of folks like to travel with their pets. If you're those people, then you should know there are limitations on the animal in parks. All pets must be leashed or otherwise kept under your control. Pets are not permitted on hiking trails or in the backcountry. They're also not allowed in visitor centers or on ranger-led activities. Keep in mind, Glacier Waterton area is one of the few remaining refuges for grizzly bear, king of the wilderness, and there are plenty of black bears here as well. Both animals are very dangerous. They can outrun you, they can swim, and the black bear can even follow you right up a tree. Camp clean. Don't leave food or garbage around your camp. Store food in your car or up a tree far from your tent, and never keep food or crumbs in your tent. The clean utensils, tables, and yourself. Bears can smell anything. View these deadly animals from a safe distance. Never feed them. Pick up a copy of this pamphlet on bear country at any ranger station or visitor center, and then read it. While the crystal clear, icy cold water found in mountain streams and national parks may seem inviting to drink, don't do it. You'll see animals in the water, but humans must take several precautions. Drinking untreated natural water can result in a severe intestinal disorder called giardiasis. It can affect your dog or cat if you're traveling with house pets. Carried by both humans and animals, giardiasis is common in surface water supplies like lakes, streams, and rivers. Here are 3 basic ways to protect yourself from giardiasis. The most effective protection is to carry your own water from a known safe drinking water supply. The next most effective method is to boil water occasionally for at least a minute at low altitudes and 3 to 5 minutes at high altitudes. And the least effective is to filter the water with a high filter that can remove particles as small as 1 micron. National Park charges a moderate entrance fee to each motor vehicle, including motorcycles entering either. This permit is good for 7 days. Persons entering on foot, bicycle, or by bus are each charged a lower fee for a 7-day entrance permit. Travelers who may be visiting one or more parks or other federal recreational facilities during the year, there are 4 special annual and lifetime passes available. The Golden Eagle Pass is an annual entry pass to all national parks, monuments, historic sites, recreation areas, and wildlife refuges charge entrances. Golden Age Passport is a lifetime entrance pass to all of the same facilities for people who are 62 years of age or older. Passport also provides a 50% discount on federal use fees inside the facilities. It does not cover other fees charged inside the park. Gold Access Passport is a similar lifetime entrance pass for persons who are blind or permanently disabled. This passport also provides for a 50% discount on federal use fees. It does not cover other fees charged inside the park. The annual pass and lifetime passports can purchase mail or in person from most National Park Service, Forest Service, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service office or facility. Individual national parks, monuments, historic sites, and recreation areas sell an annual Parks Pass, permits unlimited entry to the specific facility. These passes can be purchased by mail or in person at the specific National Park Service facility in which you are interested. The Golden Eagle Pass and the All Parks Pass are good from January 1st to December 30th. This last pass, though, runs from July to next June. Waterton National Park charge low fees for daily, per day, or annual entrances. Now notice, the park entrance permits are not interchangeable with Glacier National Park. Ship services are available to parks throughout the summer season. In case of medical emergencies, contact the nearest park ranger in either park or call this number. Glacier National Park and its Canadian sister, Waterton Lakes National Park. A natural bridge across nations for all of us to experience and enjoy for generations to come. President Teddy Roosevelt said it best as he reflected on this beautiful region.
You can't improve it. The ages have been work on it, and man can only mar it.
Yet it was my vision nearly a century ago that brings us this magnificent place for us to visit today. With its carved mountains, valleys, and glacier-fed lakes. It's abundant wildlife. It's peaceful wet forest. It feels alive. This is a place for two countries to cherish and for all the world to see.